The Bostonian is Matt Perrault.
This is our city.
The book is Dave Sherapan.
Pay him. Pay that man his money.
Together, they are the Bostonian versus the book.
You covered 12. I covered.
Follow the show on Twitter at Boston versus the book.
How do you like them apples?
Bringing you the best insight on sports betting news, Matt and Dave's daily picks, and an entertaining and unfiltered dive into the sports betting industry. Here's Dave Sherapan and Matt Perrault.
And here we go.
What's up, guys? Welcome to Whale Watch Wednesday, presented by SportTrade. It's the latest episode of the Bostonian versus the book. Dave Sherapan, Matt Perrault, live on YouTube at Boston versus the book. To go over there and follow us or watch us on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, at Boston versus the book. The same, replayed on Sports Grid TV and on Sirius XM channel 159. Not one, but two guests today, Dave. We got our guy, A. Kane, coming on. Alex Kane, CEO of SportTrade, but another guy coming on. I haven't talked to this dude in a while. I'm psyched. When you told me he was coming on, I'm excited to talk to Joey Odessa.
Oh, yeah, we got to talk to Bagels. We got Big Red. Yep, in about, 5 to 10 minutes, he'll be here. And we'll talk about SportTrade, which, again, We'll Watch Wednesdays, brought to you by SportTrade. It's right there. And what's they have going on. And then we have to recap Odessa's trip to New York. He took his kid to UFC live, Madison Square Garden, and posted a video that I have to ask him about. I can't wait because guy wouldn't sit down, and he was at the fights and everything else. And this guy's been an odds maker and also been in parts unknown, down south, different places, probably had our feet in the same sand at different places, different times. But it'll be great to talk to Joey. I told him to relax. It's fine. It's just us talking. A little nervous about being on the show. I said it'll be fine. It'll be good.
We're all good. He was not sitting down, or somebody else was not sitting down?
He was sitting down, and this guy would not sit down a few rows in front of him, and almost had to be forcibly sat down by some people. And it was like, I don't know. We'll get to him. I'm going to ask him specifically about that. And then he's at Hard Rock in Florida now, so he'll be hopefully part of something if we can get it all worked out logistically. A little road show down in the FLA. We'll see if we can get that to happen. So,
wow,
we got a lot to talk to Joey about. Have
I done a show from the state of Florida? Yes, I have. But it's been a long time. It's been a long time since I've been done.
You went to the swamp, right?
Well, I've been there, yeah. But like, I did shows from the Panhandle. I did shows from Destin. I did shows from Tallahassee. I did shows from Gainesville. I don't think Fort Myers. I've done shows down on that side. On the Atlantic side, I know I've never done a show in Miami. I've never done a show in that city. I've been there, but I've never done a show in that city. So that could be a lot of fun to get down there and to check that out and do that. So good stuff coming with Joey Odessa and Alex Kane here in about 5 minutes for Alex and about 30 minutes for Joey Odessa coming on talking. I can't wait to get his take on John Jones and what happens next. It's going to be a lot of fun to hear what he has to say about that. All right, what happened last night? Well, the latest college football bracket was released. Georgia in, Tennessee and SMU. They are on the outside looking in after the loss to Georgia for Tennessee. Not good. BYU at Ohio State, Alabama at Notre Dame, Georgia at your Penn State Nittany Lions, and Ole Miss at Indiana would be your first 4 games of the college football playoff. All I got to say, Dave, is I want to be the 5 seed. Whoever's there, the 5 seed has a walk to the semifinals.
Yeah, it's still going to play 2 games, but they're 2. I don't know. They might be easily double-digit favorites in both. So, yeah, the 5 seed is going to be fun. That's what I mean. Like, you get 3 good games.
Yeah.
You can see the way it's shaping up. 3 outstanding, close spread games and one blowout. And then the second round, same thing. You're going to get 3 really good games and 1, hope and dream for the dog.
Well, I think if you're a Big Ten fan, I think you're going to get something that has been a topic of conversation for I don't know how many decades. What would happen if an SEC school had to go on the road in December or January to play a football game? Can they handle the elements? Because Alabama at Notre Dame playing in Indiana in December, it's not warm. No. Penn State gets Georgia. Smash mouth, defensive focused Penn State gets to welcome in Georgia with 110,000 screaming fans. Having Georgia, you want to win another championship? Come on. You're going to go through Happy Valley. And then you've got a game. I still am really heavily invested in Ole Miss. I still think Ole Miss has a really good chance to do some big things here. If I'm Ole Miss, I'm in love with this draw. If I get Indiana on the road and then Texas on a neutral, Ole Miss could very well be in the national semifinals.
Right.
If I'm an Ole Miss fan, I love this draw. Keep me away from Georgia, keep me away from Alabama, and away from Ohio State. And I get to play the bottom of this bracket. I mean, even if it plays out and Georgia beats Penn State and Georgia beats Miami, Ole Miss against Georgia in a recap, Ole Miss already beat Georgia. You get a chance to make the national championship. If this is the bracket, I'm betting Ole Miss. This would be if you're in, I might even bet it now just because, and to see how it all plays out. But if I'm an Ole Miss fan, I love being in the bottom part of that bracket.
It's all well and good right now. I said it yesterday. None of that's going to happen. It's so many games left to be played and so many things that have to happen. The
Boise State thing, Boise getting a bye, I think that's got a real potential to be
that actually has a shot at happening.
You think that's going to happen?
Well, it has a shot of happening. I mean, they're going to win out. No.
I guess so, yeah. But even if they win,
Mountain West Championship is at the venue, of
right?
The top team.
Top seed, right?
You're going to get the home game. Somebody's going to go there and win in 2 weeks.
All right,
That'd be awesome.
Here's my question to you, and this has to be established for the rest of this as we go forward with this playoff. We have to determine whether teams that play a very difficult schedule will be rewarded for doing so. Or is it simply wins? Do you simply need to be undefeated or have one loss and then win your conference championship and you get a bye? You're in from a non-power 5? Because if we're trying to get the best bracket, I sound like Jay Billis, but this is what Jay Billis says all the time about the NCAA tournament for men's basketball. Like if we're trying to build a bracket to determine who the national champion is going to be, giving an automatic bid to the SWAC and giving an automatic bid to the WAC and these lower level D1 basketball conferences,
right?
It doesn't advance us. Now we always say, look, the magic is in the upset, the 16 beating a 1, the 15 beating a 2, right? We love the chaos. But does Boise have a realistic chance of beating somebody of the other 11 teams on that bracket? Is Boise favored against any of them?
No.
So this is the problem.
They're the 12th rated team. No. I mean, unless something happens, last year, Florida State, the quarterback got hurt in the conference championship game and they couldn't let him in. So now if something like that happens, Boise State could end up being in a situation where
a bye week.
I mean,
if they get a bye,
if they play BYU somehow upsets whoever they're playing, and then they're playing BYU. Yes, they could be, small favorites. I don't think so, but who knows? Right now, no, there's no chance in hell.
So if you're building
Mars or anywhere,
somebody put up Alabama's non-conference schedule for the next 5 years. And they said, what would be the benefit for Alabama to play any of these games, these non-conference games? Because you would play the cupcakes of cupcakes non-conference and then win your conference games and you get in. We have to reward. This is what the NCAA tournament for men's basketball had to do. We had to reward teams that were willing to go on the road and play true road games. I know you hate it, but the quad 1, quad 2, quad 3.
Quadrants, yeah.
But the reason why those were designed, the reason why that became a reality was because the committee needed some way of determining what your schedule strength was going to be and how many quad 1 games did you have, how many quad 2 games did you have, and then not just playing those games, but did you win those games? So it's one thing to go on the road. Did you win that true road game? You know, I'm at least in year 1, I'm a little bit nervous. Like SMU is a really good football team, but if they don't win the ACC, there's a darn good chance SMU is not getting in, but Boise State is.
Right.
Who's better? If SMU played Boise on a neutral, what's the line? 6?
SMU
5?
favored. Yeah.
So like that's my worry about the whole thing is like we're trying to find the best bracket and build the best bracket, but we have this one caveat of having to let this non-power 5 school in. And I love the little guy. I love the magic. But college football is different. Like football it's not like college basketball where there's 5 guys and one guy gets hot and all of a sudden you're knocking off a 1 seed or a 2 seed. Boise's a decent team, but I watched Boise State play against UNLV. Like they're not going to move the football against a power 10, a Georgia defense, a Tennessee defense.
Well, the craziest thing is it like some miracle they could do it once, right? Like Boise State beating Oklahoma in that bowl game with the Statue of Liberty play and all that other stuff. It can happen once, but they got to do it 4 times.
Yeah.
They're going to get drilled the next
3
game.
times. Right now, it'll only be 3 times. They got a bye.
Yeah, they're in the bye, right?
They have a bye. That's what's so wild about it. It's just like, what do you mean you're giving Boise a bye? Like, what? I just don't get that. Like, I'm going to struggle with that to go, you're giving them a top 4 seed? They're a top 4 seed? What?
The whole thing is still just, it's great fodder. It's great discussion points. I saw it and I went, geez, SEC road favorites, all 3 of them. Bama small favorite against Notre Dame. Georgia, the boys texted me because like Nikki down at Circus said it was pick. Other people had 1. I mean, I was like, listen, I make Georgia 2.5.
Wow.
Just have them come get the Penn State money. I mean, like I got to make sure. Like, I don't want them to lay to 1. What if I put 1? I mean, I know they really like Georgia if they lay to 2.5. So I said 2.5 with Georgia at Penn State, and Ole Miss I said 2, just under a field goal. So I mean, or 2.5. I could sign for 3.
Okay, that's what I would put it at.
3. But like
under 3 is surprising.
Well, I wanted to lay it. Like I need to know.
Okay.
I mean, if you go into that game into those games needing the home dogs, you're fine.
So BYU is what, a 10-point dog?
Before they play Indiana and Michigan, it might be a little higher.
Oh no,
might be 11.5. I mean,
in a quarterfinal playoff game, BYU, the Big 12 champion, according to that bracket, is a 11-point dog on the road.
I mean, it might come
State.
14. They might just dare you to take the BYU. I mean,
14.
BYU is that team everybody can't wait to bet against. So I mean, it might have to be that high. Yeah.
Wow.
I didn't look at the theoreticals yet. I haven't looked in FanDuel. FanDuel put them up. DraftKings put them up.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because you put them up now and they're not even the games. Like, do it the week before the conference championships when you at least have like a week to turn them off or eliminate them, because you can actually take real money bets on this and go, all right, refund it all.
If Bama played Miami on a neutral, what's the number?
I think it's over a touchdown.
Because Alabama's going to play Oregon if they beat Notre Dame. They won't play Miami. Georgia or Penn State would play Miami.
Bama playing Oregon. What a banger that would be. Either Penn State or Georgia going to Miami would be just phenomenal.
Phenomenal.
With the history and the talk and the this and the that. And I mean, that game's at the Peach Bowl, though, I think.
Yes. Yes.
So it would be indoors. I was hoping that would be outdoors, but
right. Still in the South, though.
Bama, Oregon's a Rose Bowl, right? I think that's the Rose Bowl one. I think it is.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Wow.
Then,
when's the last time Alabama? Man, it's in the fight some. When's the last time Bama played the Rose Bowl?
I don't know.
Bear Bryant days?
I'm pretty sure. And then the bottom one, I think, is the Fiesta Bowl. because I think the orange and the sugar are the
Alabama played in the 1920. Last time Alabama played in the Rose Bowl was 2021, but it wasn't really the Rose Bowl. It was
the semifinal.
1946.
Oh.
Last time Alabama played, they beat USC in the Rose Bowl in 1946, 34-14. Was the last time Bama played in the Rose Bowl.
Guarantee that game went over the total.
34-14?
Oh,
34-14.
Had to be some sort of fumble return or scoop and score or something. How the hell they get 34 points in 19? Wow, that's a lot of points.
Wow, how about that? They played in the 1926 national championship, their first championship, where they beat Washington 20-19. 1927, Alabama tied Stanford 7-7. In 1931, Alabama beat Washington State 24-0 to win its third national championship. In 1935, Alabama defeated Stanford 29-13. In 1938, Bama lost to California. And in 1946, they beat USC 34-14.
Man.
Boy, oh boy, how about that history? If we wind up with that. Good stuff. Let's get to our guy, one Mr. Alex Kane, CEO of SportTrade, joining us here on the Bus Only versus the Book every Wednesday on a Whale Watch Wednesday. Alex, how are you? You guys got to be getting ready for this college football playoff. This is going to be fun.
I mean, I'm sitting there off air looking at what's the best price of Colorado to make the college football playoff.
Yes.
I'm shopping my price just because, listen, I don't know anything about football, but I just think that whole team and the athleticism, it's so easy to root for. I mean, the Travis Hunter thing, I went to a game, I told you guys, they played Baylor. That was the Hail Mary game.
Yep.
Like, just incredible. Like, man, how great would it be to have them play Oregon or something like that? Because that's one of the teams that actually has the athleticism in some of these positions to be competitive versus, to your point, maybe like a Boise State or a BYU. Like, do they really have the athleticism? It's a different team, right? So I see plus 100 on FanDuel, so I might bet that after the show.
There you go. Right. Are you wearing a Kalshi shirt?
I was just about to say this. What are you wearing?
I got a Kalshi shirt on. I'm a big fan of that company. Spent the election night. I don't know if I ever told you guys what Huffman and I ended up doing, but we sat there for about 6 hours, and David made it to 5th on their 30-day all-time volume tracker. Okay. He did like 5 million shares of volume. I did like 2 million. But what we were doing is we were making markets on. So here's how I played that. So I had a big bet on Kamala. I thought Kamala was going to win. And then now looking back, I'm like, I was totally wrong. Okay, fine. Halfway through the night, I'm like, okay, it's over. Let me look at the market. The market was, in trading parlance, there was a bid at 14% and offer at 17%. So I could have sold at 14%. Keep in mind, I bought Kamala like 46.
Okay.
Well, I'm not going to sell at 14. Let me put a limit order. Let me sell it at 17. Wait for a buyer to come hit it. Something like 30 or 40,000 shares. So hit it, boom, done, sold. I'm like, interesting. I just sold 17. Let me try to buy 14s, right? Boom, bought. Let me try to sell 17s, boom, sold. And then it became this rush and this race of like, there was so much action of these guys using Kalshi for the first time on a mobile phone, just ripping out the bids and offers, that it allowed me to truly play the market maker and just bid 14, offer 17, bid 14. And that's what I was doing. So I was buying her at 14%. And then she started to go down, and all of a sudden I was buying her at 10 and selling her at 12. And then she went down again. I was buying at 8 and selling at 10. And by the end of the night, I ended up recouping all the losses that I had to take by selling out of Kamala and actually doubled that into a profit. So we went. I think Huffman got these shirts, and maybe they sent it to him, but he set an all-time record. He traded so much. And there's some other gambling guys, gambling on Twitter, like, wait, Huffy, is that David Huffman from SportTrade? Did he really just tap trade his way to 5th all-time on the Kalshi list for volume? So that was a blast.
So I emailed it to you. I'm with my girlfriend. I'm walking on the strip. It's 2 weeks before Election Day. There is a massive, massive ad for Kalshi.
Yep.
And it says the word bet. Bet on the election.
Yeah.
And I emailed it to you and I said, explain the word bet to me here for a second, because it's a trading peer-to-peer platform, right? It's not a betting platform. There's no house, right?
There's no house. It's funnily enough, it's identical to SportTrade. The two businesses are completely not discernible at all. But we list sports and they list sort of election contracts and events and things like that. Yeah, it's 0 to 100 limit order sort of base central limit order book thing, and they don't put any of their own liquidity in there, so they have market makers. I think Susquehanna is a big market maker, but election night, what happened was kind of what I thought was going to happen. Even the institutional market makers just said, I'm out. Like, there's too much information that happens in these markets where if somebody finds that like Loudoun County had a slightly higher than what they thought voter participation in exit polls, that's going to have a huge impact on Virginia. That's going to have a huge impact on, and you have this cascading thing where it trades like the stock market almost, right? There's so much news that comes out. And so it really flows like a market. And in the void of all that institutional liquidity, guys like me and David were getting in there, and we were basically propping up the entire election market, which was awesome. And you'd sit there, it's so great. You'd sit there and say, okay, these guys are coming into Kalshi for the first time, depositing $25,000 on a wire. They live in Laguna Beach or they live in Manhattan, and they're putting $20,000 on Kamala, or they're putting $10,000 on Trump, and they don't really care what the price is. And Kalshi has this thing where you just kind of, with the market order, it's what's called sweep the book. So if there's some available at 15%, and then 16%, and then 17%, but your bet is so big, it'll basically sweep all those levels. So David was the smart one to say, wait a minute, Alex, why are we top of book 14 at 17? Let's start layering our orders. So let's offer to buy at 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and then sell at 17, 18, 19, 20. And like clockwork, you're watching CNN, and right at 10 p.m. when they say breaking news, Michigan's this or that, you'd see a huge market order come and sweep through the book, and you'd end up selling at these amazing prices, and then the order book would start to slot back in. And I think David ended up making way more than me, but that was like a market making experience that I'll never experience again. I think I had to have made 2,000 or 3,000 trades that night.
Is Polymarket the same as Kalshi, or is it different?
Exact same, based in USDC, not regulated by the US government, so not accessible to US players.
And that's why the US is investigating them, because they took action on election night, right?
Yes. So they did a lot more volume than Kalshi, but they have the whole, global market, versus Kalshi is, only available to US citizens. Polymarket's starting to get into sports. I was just opened up their market for the college football playoff, and built very similar to SportTrade. This is the dream for SportTrade, is like, if you get enough people, you can get these really tight futures markets where you see every single market is a percent wide. So Ohio State's 21% chance to win, according to Polymarket. Georgia's 15%, Oregon 15%, Texas 13%. There's your top four right there. And they're starting to do live like MLB money lines, NBA money lines, NFL money lines, and it's really fun just kind of watching that market, because it's just very different than sports betting, right? Like, you can put a position on pregame of like, all right, I'm going to take Indiana on the money line, not because I think they're going to win, but if I think they're going to score a touchdown and I have a tight market behind me the whole time, I can cash out basically at mid-market. I can cash out paying such a small fee. And that's ultimately what we want to build, right? We talked about the percentage, being able to do that in percentage on SportTrade last week. By the way, both plays that I had last week, Sixers, 17%. They hit as high as 40%. So if I could have used SportTrade, I would have done that. That would have made money. They were up to 40% at halftime. They ended up losing to the Cavs, but they were up like 6 or 7.5. I also had Washington at 37%. They hit as high as 55%. I ended up going to that game on Thursday night before they got absolutely Saquon Barkley'd in the fourth quarter. Yes. And that's the magic of SportTrade, the magic of Kalshi, it's the magic of Polymarket, is that you can start to bet on sports in such a different way, to such an extreme that it's almost not even sports betting. Like, wait, why would you bet the Sixers at plus 420? I'm not betting the Sixers at plus 420. I'm buying them at 17% because I think at halftime they're going to be up, and I know I'm going to be able to cash out a fair market price.
Yep.
Because the sportsbook doesn't allow you to do that, no one sits there and bets the Sixers at plus 420, because no one actually thinks they're going to make it through the entire 48 minutes and win the game. And so that's where SportTrade is so unique.
It's training people to look at stuff differently. And you just said it. I mean, it's betting on sports, but sports is just the market. It's not really, I don't care who wins and loses. If I get a good price here and a good price here, I'm good and I'm out. Yep. The thing about the futures is fascinating, because probably about 10 years ago, I went to a lawyer and said, I want to run a future book. And he's like, what do you mean? I said, I just want to do the futures. We can just do futures and have the best prices on every single team in the world.
Yep.
We do 6 major events, sports, and we're good. He's like, what are you talking about? And he went to do it and looked and said, they're never going to let you do this. And I was like, okay. And now everybody's doing it. And Cal Sheehan, it's awesome to see.
Can you imagine how great the market would be? And Polymarket market doesn't even have this. Maybe Shane's listening. He should do it. Can you imagine how amazing the market would be if teams to make the college football playoff futures, how much that's going to trade intraday on like as Colorado last week is down 2 touchdowns or 2 weeks ago. Yeah. You know, they lose a game, they're out. They have to run the table.
Right.
Because how likely is it they're going to actually win the division, right? They win the division, they're clearly in. Can they actually win the division? That's the question. They lose a game to a team they shouldn't lose to, they're out. And so imagine, I mean, you had such a great idea, Dave, when you thought of it, is like, because futures can end up being so liquid. Teams to make the college football playoff, if you just had that as a market, you would do almost as much volume as if you listed every single game, because you're directing all the liquidity and all the intention into like, all right, today I'm trading like Ohio State to be the number 1 seed. And that's all I'm trading. And I'm effectively trading, will they beat Indiana? Because they lose to Indiana, they're going to 0.
Right.
If they beat the Indiana, they're going to 50. All right, so there's my range. That's how I'm trading it today. So
it's great. And I think there's a way to do it that would garner interest in. You don't have to do the games. Like that's what I think. Like you have to be able to see that. You guys are seeing it. You guys are boosting up the level of number of trades every single week, month. Like what the hell's going on with SportTrade right now?
We've got a nice thing going. I sent Matt a chart. You and Matt a chart last night. There it is.
There it is.
That's so what you're looking at here. So week 0 is effectively like preseason, the week between the end of preseason and week 1. Okay, for NFL, it's kind of confusing because only college football is a week 0. But anyway, I put this together at midnight, so bear with me. Week 1 is the first week of NFL season, and what you see is week 8 is also the very first week of NBA. And so we're just adding all these products. Customers are trading live player props now because our prices from our market makers disagree with FanDuel and with Caesars and with DraftKings, and customers. You know, we have those customers are also important part of the ecosystem. They don't use SportTrade to trade in and out. They don't use SportTrade in the kind of the way we originally designed it. They just say, hey, wait a minute, you got minus 130. These guys got plus 150. Why don't I just bet the plus 150 over here, the minus 130 over here, and make my money? And so that's where we're seeing this explosion right now. Is we have one guy in New Jersey who posts his own prices. He does his own modeling. This guy's incredible for pregame NBA player props. And so he, at 5 or 6 p.m., he sends us an email. He says, go and list these 100 things. And then what he effectively does is he places orders in the SportTrade marketplace that cross FanDuel, that cross Caesars, that cross DraftKings, that cross ESPN, because he knows customers will then do exactly what I just mentioned. They'll bet the minus 130 on SportTrade, and they'll bet the plus 150 for the exact same thing on the other side at FanDuel. So they're locking in.
So explain that quickly, how someone makes money doing that.
Yeah, so they're
you're like with $100 is the unit.
Yeah, so they're, in terms of for the end customer, they look on SportTrade, or they look on Pick the Odds or Unabated or Dark Horse or Odds Jam or Spank Odds, and they say, wait a minute, over 4.5 rebounds, Tyrese Maxey minus 130 on SportTrade, under 4.5 rebounds plus 150 on FanDuel. And so all they do is they bet the perfect amount such that no matter what happens with their $100, they're going to win money, because they're going to win the FanDuel bet at plus 150, or they're going to win the SportTrade bet at minus 130. And because those numbers are greater than 0, it's an arbitrage. So we have this guy that's so smart, and he thinks he can beat the global player prop market. And he goes on and he creates all of these arbitrages. And that's when you look on the tape, Monday night, Tuesday night, no doubt tonight, Thursday night, Friday night, you see all these NBA player prop bets, and they're super esoteric. Like, you think, who the hell is betting, this player I've never heard of under points, rebounds, and assists? It's because these books list them. They may, when they list them, prioritize quantity over quality. That creates the opportunity for a modeler to say, Fando, you're wrong about this.
Yeah.
Because I'm limited from you, or because you're only going to give me $100, I'm going to go and get $5,000 down on this by crossing your market, paying a little bit more than what you're offering. But in return, I get all these arbitrage players that are going to bet you at their limits in the aggregate and then bet me. And now I'm going to get my side down. So that's another very unique thing about an exchange that you can't do on a sports book, right? You can't go to a Circo or a DraftKings and say, hey, I'm willing to now offer this price. And if customers want it, give it to me. They would look at you like you got four heads, right? So it allows you to do that. And that's just another unique use case. And that's what's really between in-play NBA ARBs, pregame NBA ARBs. We're sizing up. We're seeing incredible activity with a new strategic partner we announced last month. We're really excited about Susquehanna. We're starting to see more pregame size. Customers are able to bet 5,000, 10,000, 15,000, 20,000 at prices equivalent to like minus 104, minus 106 in that range or the equivalent. So it's all kind of coming together. And I'm trying to think, can we get to 25,000 trades a week? And then can we get to 100,000? And then at that point, SportTrade starts to be a bit more legitimate. So every day it's just like, what can we do to have that number go from 16,000 last week to like 17,000, and sort of turn into this interesting game where some of us are like, well, Monday beat last Monday, but like Tuesday, that was not as good as the night. And now you're starting to we're now making markets internally like, yes, no, will SportTrade beat last week's trade record?
Yes.
So we're having a lot of fun with it.
If I have an Arizona account with SportTrade and I'm going to Virginia, do I have to get a new account, or does the same account transfer over?
Same account, same balance, same everything. You'll even see all of your bets, but you won't be able to. If you place a bet in Arizona, then you fly to Virginia, you'll see that bet, you'll see everything, but you won't be able to cash out of that bet because of the Wire Act. We got to keep the liquidity separate. Yep. Everything's got to stay separate. But yeah, it should be pretty seamless. If there's someone in the audience that's tried that and had any issues, let me know.
So now you guys are. Is volume of trades the focus right now rather than the actual volume? Because like a lot of places reporting the volume of handle in dollars. Right now, you guys are just trying to get more trading, just number of trades, right?
Yep. I'll give you the exact numbers from last week. Let's see. We did 15,674 trades. We did 329 of those were cash outs. We want to get that number way up. Like that's the magic of SportTrade, right? Being able to buy in and sell out. I think doing a lot more education, partnering with you guys and others, say, hey, this is easy. It's simple. Here's how easy it is to bet the Sixers at 16%. And they go on a run. Jared McCain does his thing, goes on a 12-0 run, and now they're 40% you sell. So that's on us. I want to get that number higher. We did 4,758 in-play trades. So that means about a third of the total amount of trades were happening in play, 30% to be exact. We did,
which has got to be up from the beginning of the season.
Yes, that's coming up, which is nice. Which is good. We did $4.4 million of handle. Ooh. So 4.4, let's see, equals this number divided by this number. We did, so the average bet on the platform is in the range of like $285.
That's great.
Which is great. Commissions,
which is drastically higher than the big box, things. I mean, the big box ones are $7 average trade because they have so many people, and so many things. So it is a different product. I mean, it's
different product, and it's always going to be a little bit more attractive to the guy that's like, I like the guy like you, Dave, who thinks, can I build a futures book, right? If the people that think like that are going to love this, I think it's on us to make that simpler. But $4.4 million of handle in the week. That's our best week ever. We did 88,000 shares traded. That's a record on the week for the year. We did $112,000 of first-time deposits. We had about 112 new players, so that averaged out to be about $1,000 of average first-time deposit. That also is very, very strong. We only beat that once this fall. So we've got a lot going on. We've got the beauty of this exchange thing, right, is that you can have different market makers that have different interests, and SportTrade just has to connect players to those quotes. That's all we have to do. So if someone comes in, and I think we got to do a better job of this, and they say, you know what, I get it, you're trying to do this like innovative probability thing. Look, I'm an old school bettor, or I'm a plus CV bettor, or I'm an arbitrage player. Just give me a UI that I'm excited about, that I can understand. We have that. Versus I email every single new player that submits a bet in the last 7 days. So that 112 people, I got 20 of them to respond in about 3 hours last night. And I asked them 3 simple questions. Where'd you hear about SportTrade? What's a feature you'd like to see improved? And would you be open if we pitch it to you for an entirely new way to bet? All 20 people said yes. So I think there's a real interest to create a lot more of that activity around what we were talking about earlier, of customers saying, I'm going to bet here, and the probability goes up and cash out. And all the while, we're still going to have all those arbors and the guys that want to get the plus CV and the guys that want to bet 10 dimes at great prices. Those players are going to kind of be happy as a claim over here, and SportTrade can start to build a little more of a diverse ecosystem, because ultimately that's where how SportTrade has to be successful, right? It can't just be guys that want great prices and guys that just arb and guys that are just looking for the best of it. You need to create a diverse ecosystem where you have some players who just say, I don't know anything about price. I don't really care. I like the SportTrade thing because I like buying the Sixers when they're 16, because it gives me a chance to cash out at so much better of a rate than everybody else. And that's a very different thought exercises type of player versus the guy that says, you guys got minus 104 lines. I'm looking to bet 10K. You can be 20K, even better. If you give me 50K, I'll bankrupt the place, sort of thing. And you run a book, Dave. You know you need a mix of those players. You can't have everyone saying, I want this side at this price, because the volatility will just crush you.
Right.
You need people that want to do parlays. You need people that want to do player props. You need people that want to do features. You need people that want to bet the minus 4,900 money lines. You need the guys that want to bet and be price sensitive. So this is our journey, and we're sort of, we're putting one step in front of the other.
So before I choked, I apologize. I was asking about Virginia and Arizona. So I'm going to do this for you guys. I'm going to go and make a bet in Arizona. And then I'm going to get on a plane and I'm flying to DC. I'm going to be in Virginia for the 30th to the 2nd. So then I will show people how easy it is to do in both states, in Arizona and in Virginia. I'll make bets in both states for you guys. I'll put it on social media. I'll tape it. I'll put it on all of our socials to show people what we're doing, because I have a chance to be, I'm a 30-minute drive from Arizona, and then I'm going to spend New Year's Eve in the DC, Maryland, Virginia area. So I'll be able to do both. So I'll show our audience how easy it is to do it.
Incredible. That's awesome. So let's see if I'm in Virginia there. My girlfriend's applying for different, medical programs or whatever, and we ranked Washington very high. So who knows? Maybe we're in that sort of that Arlington area for longer term. And
I lived in Old Town Alexandria. It's an unbelievable part of the country. It's a great place to live.
It is really nice, isn't it?
Really nice part of the country to live.
Last one I got to ask you before we go. We got another guest coming on. Did you pose for that picture for that story that David Hill wrote? Like, was that, did you see the picture that they used? I mean, like, you were looking pretty sexy. I mean, that was one of those ones that I was like,
you're the CEO now. That's all we're calling you, is just the CEO.
Yeah. That was like, two very quick things about that. When they reached out about the picture, there was an article I had an opportunity to be featured on in yesteryear, that someone actually came to the office and took photos. And I don't really have any of those other than that. So when they said, hey, can you give us a headshot? And I gave the headshot I always give. They're like, no, like of your full body sort of thing. I'm like, this is the only one I have.
Right.
My girlfriend's like, that's you when you're 19. I'm like, no, I was like 27 in that picture. She's like, no, you're and then the second thing, so David Hill said, let's go to this. I want to go to where you're most comfortable. I said, we're going to the Philly scheme. It was June 19th, 2024.
Yeah.
He brings a microphone, and I turn to him before he turns on. I'm like, oh my God, you want to record this whole conversation. You thought coming to a MLB ballpark on a Tuesday afternoon in 100-degree heat would have meant there's no crowd. You're like totally wrong about that. Yeah. I felt so bad for the guy because it was so loud. There was a packed house, 45,000 people. He may not have understood it was a holiday and people had off, sort of thing. And we sat there and we probably drank 4 Gatorades each. I mean, it was like zero respite from the sun, from the sun whatsoever. But it was a great time. I'm so happy that we involved made us look so much probably more legit than we are. So that was awesome that he included us. I love
that article was great. He was great on the show on Monday. It was awesome to have him on talking about the whole process of doing it and how many of our friends, including you, were featured in that piece. It was pretty cool. It's a cool thing. I think we talked to him about it too, about just the audience for Rolling Stone. A lot of them may not have known, one, what SportTrade was all about, but two, just where the sports gambling world is in America. It's an 18 to 34-year-old demographic publication. So it's talking a lot to young people coming in for the first time who may not know anything about price shopping, may not know what you guys are doing. So it's a cool opportunity for you guys to get exposure that way.
Yeah, indeed. It's been a very special year for us. And this show has been a big part of that as well. So I want to thank you guys for that.
Alex, thank you so much. We appreciate the time. We'll talk again soon, all right?
See you, AK.
Alex Kane, the CEO from The Story. Now, CEO. We roll into Bagels Odessa. I don't know when the last time I talked to Joey. It was a long time ago. Bagels, you're on BVB, my friend. How are you? Welcome to the show. Thank you for doing this.
What's happening today, guys?
Joey, you're looking good, man. How you feeling?
Feeling all right. Every day is a new day. Right? Every day above ground is a good day.
Yeah, amen to that.
Amen to that is right. How was I mean, I gotta ask you before we get into odds in the future of what the fight game is, this and that. You had an opportunity, and I know you spent a lot of times in books, and you can't go on vacation or take trips or go see games or fights in person because you're working. But you got a unique opportunity that you're doing now, and we'll catch the audience up to that. But you were in New York City for the UFC, and you took the kid. So it was dad and son. How was that trip? Just sum it up for us.
It was amazing. New York City's changed a lot. I mean, the last time I was in Times Square, God, 30 some years ago, 40 years. I'd seen it on TV a lot since then, but no, New York City was cool. Stayed at the Hard Rock Hotel. Times Square was pretty amazing. The next day though, they had those the guy ran around and stabbed a bunch of people right there.
Incredible.
Horrible. Yes.
Incredible. What was the fight like? I saw that video that you posted. Did you almost have to tell him to sit down, like physically tell that guy to sit down?
No, I told him I just told him pretty, you got two options, sit down or sit down. I mean, it was all night, you'll see a lot of people probably take videos like that and they'll be like, oh, well, they were throwing him out because he was a Democrat or he was anti-Trump. I mean, the guy just was not a nice person. Trump walked in, which was absolutely amazing. Like the event itself, just Trump being there with Vivek and RFK and Tulsi and Elon and everyone, Kid Rock. I mean, it did for me, a Gen X guy. It didn't get any better than that.
You're at MMA Odds on Twitter. For our audience that might not know, and they will know all about you after this is over, but give a quick synopsis of your background, how long you've been in the bookmaking game, but also the MMA game. I've been talking to you for years about fighting, about MMA, about boxing. You're one of the most knowledgeable guys on the planet in the sport, but how long you been doing this?
I'm a dinosaur. I mean, bookmaking's in my blood since I'm 54 now. So, I mean, I've been doing this since I was 19. I mean, I made a transition to VIP, which has been fantastic. With the opportunity that Hard Rock gave me in the regulated market. It was offshore for like 20 some years and just booking for 30 some years.
So now you're in the VIP game.
Now
we're going to come down and see you at some point. We're going to hook up. We're going to either do a show from one of the books, either up in Hollywood or down in Miami, but we'll figure that out. I got to ask you, what was Friday? I mean, because Saturday was fighting and UFC, and did you get asked to make a number for that? And did you? I don't even know what to call it, Joe. That was. I don't want to say embarrassing, but it was you're 54.
Say what it is.
Me and you were the same age. What the hell was that?
That was a great example of what, I learned this a long time ago, back in 2007. And I always refer to this, many of the interviews I do. I say, look, if HBO could make Hatton versus Mayweather look like a pick'em fight, anything's possible. And they did that back in 2007. And I've lived that's a hill I'll die on forever. You watch Tyson's highlight reels, and then you watch Tyson. I mean, highlight reels are exactly that. When you're making a number for a fight, I made numbers for 30 years. You make a number for a fight, you have to make, you have your true price, and then you have your number that will generate two-way action. And then you also have your number, which gets highly influenced by the media. I mean, Conor Floyd. Listen, that was the closest to retirement I ever got. I'm not talking about from cashing out. And I opened that fight 25-1, very first number up offshore. And over like months, it got bet down to like minus 300. So you can imagine like the stress I had, the emails I was getting saying, he can't win, Kenny. And I'm like, no, he can't. I mean, I was there, 25-1 down to 3-1. I was stuck with it. These fights here, I tweeted out, I said, look, because everybody's asking, can Tyson win? Can Tyson win? You look at the preview shows, they did a great job. They showed his fight versus Burbick. I was like 20s. I mean, I was 100 pounds lighter and we go for 5 or 6 minutes back then. You know what I mean? And I also saw Tyson was talking about in an interview that was totally separate from the boxing. He was talking about his mansion. And he's like, these people see me hitting the pads, but they don't see me when I got to walk up 32 steps. And, at 54, he's 4 years older than me. So I know what he's talking about.
Yeah.
It's I think from a fight fan perspective, and this is you mentioned McGregor and Mayweather, and Dave and I talked about it.
Oh.
That was the last time we really had this, where you had people who have never bet before coming to the window to bet on a fight because they think they know, because there's no way this guy can beat this guy. Jake Paul can't beat Mike Tyson because he's Mike Tyson, without any real history, knowledge, research, or looking at the facts behind it. As a market maker, how do you handle that when it's one-way action and you're crossing your fingers? We're like, I'm going to be right, because if I'm wrong, I got a big problem.
Well, I mean, I always, people always say, generate two-way action, balance the books. I mean, Dave knows that's a lot of nonsense. We're not looking to balance the books. We're looking to go, generally as an odds maker or a bookmaker, you want to go in with the right side. You're not picking and choosing, you don't, if there's nothing to it, there's nothing to it. But if you see some sharp guys on one side or another, and clearly the sharps were on Jake Paul here, it's the Tyson fairy tale was a nice thing. Well, I mean, that expired. It was wild because I saw people talking about after this Jake Paul fight, they're like, God, I'll never make that mistake again. Tyson will never let me down again. I've been saying that since Tyson fought McBride. When he put up he was up 5 rounds. He quit. And he quit during the round, the money round, the total round, which was, I mean, it was a nightmare for me, being on the other side of the counter.
Yeah,
but you'll learn your lessons. Morales versus Pacquiao way back in the day. Gosh, we're going way back after proving A beats B beats C, that method of picking losers, I'll say, because it never works. Was applicable there, and we went in with Morales because our number was I opened Morales a favorite. Another time that I probably could have been very close to retirement had he not beat Pacquiao and upset him, because they bet Pacquiao all the way to minus 200 the other side. But these are things that odds makers have learned over the years. Now everything's more automated trading, stuff. But I mean, I don't get all the algorithms you want. No two fights are the same. No two guys are the same leading up to the fight. Different things going on, especially in an individual sport, not a team sport. So you really have to have your finger on the pulse.
And you have to be able to be flexible. And at 54, Mike Tyson obviously wasn't flexible. My little one came home from school that day, and I asked her how school was, and I said, was anybody talking about the fight? She said, yeah, all of my friends said Tyson's going to win. And I asked her, what did you say? And she goes, well, I told them they were all wrong. And I said, well, why do you think that? She goes, because Tyson is older than you, and you're old. And I was like, man, kids just slap you right in the face.
There you go.
Speaking of slapping you in the face, John Jones just I mean, it wasn't a slap in the face. It was a kick in the ribs. But my God, what in the world? That was real. But Stipe looked done. Is there anyone on planet Earth that can beat this John Jones guy?
Well, if these guys, I believe that, and we'll go back to that lesson from 2007, that I think these guys can get away with opening Aspinall versus Jones at Pick'em. Now, do I think Jones will beat Aspinall? Yes, I do. What do I think the right number is? Probably minus 175, maybe minus 200.
Wow.
I give them that kind of a chance to win, but they're going to bet Aspinall for two reasons. One, because those guys from the UK come over here and they support their fighters. I mean, they do it all the time. Again, the great example, Hat Mayweather. Now we have Aspinall. They'll probably fight in the United States, Las Vegas, I'd imagine. And they're going to support him. And people are going to bet against John Jones because they don't like John Jones. I don't mean as a fighter.
Right.
As a human being. I mean, he's got the whole thing going on now with finding God and
right.
And he looked like an amazing person at the UFC. But you don't know how much of that's real, how much of that's nonsense. I mean, it's all about the money, right? You got to do what, if you're Kobe Covington, you got to go that angle, of the bad guy, the heel. John Jones was the heel for a while, came back. I mean, after the fight, gave the belt to Trump. I thought it was pretty classy in his win. But, I mean, Jones has got history. People are going to bet to see him lose. People like to see a guy like that, arguably the greatest of all time, go down.
Joey, it's minus 128 for Aspinall. I mean, the offshores put it already as him a pretty big favorite against John Jones, which I was somewhat surprised. John Jones said a couple of days ago that basically he wants FU money for this fight. So he has a price. It's going to be extraordinarily expensive. I said to Dave that I thought the most likely place would be during International Fight Week here in Las Vegas during July, when it's supposed to be the marquee event of the summer, when you need a big marquee event. We've seen Jones fight in that before. We've also seen Jones get popped for the pictogram that he was supposed to fight within. That one big mark on his resume was during that DC fight trilogy when he was supposed to fight and he got popped during International Fight Week. Is he the greatest fighter of all time in your mind, or is there anybody else in the UFC that can lay claim to that? Because Dana White won't listen to anybody else at all talk about John Jones not being the GOAT.
Yeah, I mean, if you put him up against everybody else, you put him up against, there's weight classes for a reason. I think maybe Khabib is the most efficient, takes him down, rinse, repeat, constantly.
Right.
Jones, John seems to do a lot. Like Jones does what's necessary to win. He's had some fights that are a little bit closer. The best version of John Jones is the GOAT. In the same respect, I'm going to refer to boxing here. The best version of Roy Jones Jr. in my mind is the GOAT. Now, we've seen Roy fall off a cliff since then. You know what I mean? Even fought Tyson in that. But yeah, I think John Jones, again, I think the greatest of all time is in all combat sport is probably Floyd Mayweather. He keeps doing it. But yeah, I would say John Jones, like if this was Gladiator and we put these guys in a cage and only one guy leaves, John Jones is the best of all of them. And again, Father Time's undefeated. There's some guys out there that would have gave John Jones a run. Off the top of my head, I don't, it's tough to really say. But, any given Sunday in fighting, as an individual sport, it only, guys, they don't fight 10 times. They fight one time.
Yep.
Guys going to win 9 out of 10. Well, they don't fight 10. They fight once. So you have to take all those factors, combine them, the highs, lows, for the guys fighting in the winter months. Champs get lazy over Thanksgiving. Lazy. Not easy to run in that snow and cold weather, rain,
How has the transition been to Hard Rock and then this new role that you're in? Because, sitting in the room is one thing. And you sat in a room in a lot of different places, and then you get, into this one. And now I see you out and about, like taking pictures with people and all this other stuff. Do you like what you're doing now? And what was the transition like?
It's pretty amazing that you can sit in a trading room or a bookmaking room now and with no anxiety. outside of the games. Like there's no like, is immigration going to come in the door today? Is somebody else going to come to the door today? And it's cake. It's great. I mean, I am so happy I played the long game and waited for Florida because Hard Rock they have been so incredibly good to me. My boss now with VI, the head of trading was from European UK guy, but the guy that I'm with in VIP is an amazing human being, and I would say he was what I was to the MMA and to the fights in Atlanta. He was that in Atlantic City to the casino host business. I mean, he's phenomenal, and I learn from him every day because this is new for me.
Right.
I'm used to being behind the counter, anticipating, this move, that move, things like that. Now I'm out in front, so I'm dealing more with the, more face to face with the actual players, which is, what, it's not, it has its moments, and again, the VIP business, I'm learning every day, and in this business, I say you don't know what you don't know until you know it. So kind of like you're on your feet and boom, all of a sudden, wow, maybe I should have went this way when instead of, maybe I should have zigged instead of zagged. We're going through a lot of that again. Whereas the trading part, I always think, look, you make hot dogs for 30 years, you make a good hot dog. You sit, you sit on stage or, you sit in the chair like so many of our friends that are, still working in the other markets.
Yep.
I actually our friend Butch.
Yep. Yep.
Um,
He said to say hello. I don't know. I asked him to ask you a question. I don't know if he has something to say. I don't know if he's in the chat or not, but I wanted him to send me a question to ask you or tell a story that I didn't know about. So if you have one, do that.
Yeah. Speaking of Hard Rock, I mean, you guys are building here in Vegas what's going to change the Vegas Strip. I know it's a couple of years away, but are you guys talking about what you're building here in Vegas and how different the Strip's going to look with a gigantic guitar on it?
Not a lot. I mean, the Hard Rock brand, I don't want to speak on Hard Rock too much here, but the Hard Rock brand is just, I mean, it's massive. Look, we're in Times Square and, they got the Hard Rock Cafe. There's an underground cafe for the most part. I mean, you'd never even know it was there.
Right.
Under the streets. It's such a massive brand. And they did a really great job of bringing people in. I mean, I could say that, when you're, Dave and I worked offshore, and when you're offshore, you're around a lot of alphas, and everybody wants to get to stage, and it's very, it can be cutthroat, but I tell you what, I'm surrounded with really intelligent people, really good, just genuinely good people I want to be friends with, and that makes going to work and dealing with, normal stresses of work so much easier. Every day, I'm used to that fight or flight, like, and always, you're look, if you get beat, if your players beat you up, like it can be short lived, in the market. If you didn't perform, you were out the door. There was no like, let's go negotiate this. Just like pack your stuff, shut your computer off, and get lost. And not those words. Usually, it's a lot more aggressive than
a lot worse. Yeah, it was a lot. There was no HR departments. There was no meetings and steps of discipline. It was win or out. And if you didn't, you had to make plans for the next spot. All right. Well, I'm gonna this will be my last one for you. What's Florida like in December? And if we come down there, should we go to the Hollywood or the Miami one? Which one? If we come down,
Hollywood Sports,
okay.
Fort Lauderdale, Hollywood.
Okay, it looks amazing. I mean, like, are you? So, I mean, with the places you've been, do you get overwhelmed at all? Because, like, I've been in Vegas 20 years, so I'm not overwhelmed by any of it. But like on social media and everything, it looks great. It's a great place to come and watch a game, hang out, and spend the weekend, right?
I think so. Yeah, of course. The sports bar is amazing there. The live venue, they bring shows down here all the time. The Bare Knuckle, the PFL, I was Casey and the Sunshine Band.
I love Casey and the Sunshine Band, baby.
But is it overwhelming? I'd be lying if I said it wasn't. because, we're used to, we're used to working in Costa Rica, Curacao, places like that. And I mean, it really is, it's next level. And it makes me realize like how grateful, how grateful I am to be in such a good spot. I mean, because funny, I'll let you go after this, but like, I remember like when the second or third week I'm working, trading, and one of the bosses comes in and says, look, are you going to be okay? And I said, what do you mean? And he says, well, the air conditioning's been broke all day, and I know you got to be here till 1 a.m. or, if you're not comfortable working in this heat, like, we could make arrangements for you to work from home. And I'm like, thinking to myself, I'm like, God, have you any idea of some of the shitholes I worked in my lifetime? Like the downstairs of the Cascade building, places in Pavis, and this is the rich, this is 5-star,
Might as well been at the Ritz Carlton. Yeah,
sleep here. There's a cafeteria. I could live here.
Like, before we let you go, I want to see if you can give us a play on the way out. Yang against Figueiredo in Macau is the main event on Saturday. That fight going the distance, or are we going inside the distance on that main event card?
Wow, you hit me with a good one there. Generally, I'd always been a fan of Figueiredo, but I also think that he's making more money now than he was before. Jan's had some tough. I would, gosh, Figueiredo is. I want to bet Figueiredo, but I think he's a live dog that won't win. As far as the total, I don't know.
It's a tough bet. It's a 5-round main event fight, but it's heavily favored to not go the distance. It's like, I don't know.
You would just go. I would have to go over. It pains me to say that,
right?
But I'd have to go over. It's wild too at these UFCs now. They count down as the round reaches the midway point. I never realized that on the pay-per-views because I watch these without sound.
Right.
Watch it with sound, you get poisoned. You think you had a winner, next thing you know, you lose a split decision. Happens all the time. The undercard. So I don't watch it with sound. But when I was in New York City, like they would count down each half round. When it got like the 2 minutes and 38 seconds, they'd count down 37, 36, 35. And it just shows the influence that gambling has upon
Joey, that doesn't happen in Vegas. It's bizarre. It only happens in legalized sports outside of Vegas. It's weird. In New York, in Jersey, when it happens in the states that have legalized sports betting, in Vegas, that doesn't happen. It's bizarre. It's a phenomenon on the East Coast.
Yeah, it's fascinating. Because you would think, when you're getting close to the end of a basketball game, they count it down, but they're counting half rounds. They're counting money, and it's just like, wow.
2.5, 3.5, 4.5. They're counting down to the over.
Unbelievable.
Joey, great stuff. Great to see you.
Love you, brother.
We'll do it again soon, all right?
You have a great day, great week.
Talk soon. Thanks, brother.
MMA Odds on X Twitter. Go follow him. You're a combat sports fan, one of the best in the business to follow as to what he does every single.
Happy for that dude.
It's great.
Talked so much when COVID hit, and I mean, it's great to see him, one, healthy, and two, able to enjoy the fruits of his labor a little bit, because he'd been in a lot of places that been it's a long, hard road. And he said it just like that. You ain't even worried about what you're booking. You're worried about somebody coming through the door telling you to go home and all this other stuff.
Or take you home.
It's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy.
All right, the Cavaliers lost their first game of the year last night. Boston wins. They do not cover the 5.5 point number. Did we learn anything last night in that game between Celtics and the Cavs?
I think the only thing that I took away was that Cleveland is a lot closer than anybody else in the East. I think that the distance last year was evident, and I think Cleveland is the second best team. It's clear, without the win streak, it was good to see them give them
a run.
I mean, the Celtics in the first half is just money. I mean, the
65.
Celtics in the first half is absolute money.
I think we're at 65.
By the way, I picked
great
this one up.
It's 65 or 70% so far for the Celtics at home, team total over. And the book says rinse and repeat, and they put it up between 59.5 and 62.5 every game. It's what the margin is. I haven't seen 58.5 yet, but that's what they put it up. It was 59 or 60.5 last night. Boston scored 65 points in the first half.
Is there a concern about the Celtics' second half issues?
No, because it was the same thing last year. When they get Porzingis back, it all goes away. They're short a guy. They get tired. I mean, it's just they're playing a lot of minutes, and their rotation is not what it's going to be in the playoffs. So they're a good enough team to beat every other team in the East without Porzingis. You put Porzingis on that roster, and they're the best team in the league by a ways. So, and he's at practice. I mean, Porzingis is working. They're just slow playing it. They're like, hey, we'll see you in the spring. Like, don't worry about it. They have no need to play him. There's no concern to play him. But we saw Boston against Atlanta, lost the game at home in the NBA Cup, the first game of the NBA Cup. They were 16-point favorites. They lost by 1 at home to Atlanta. They don't have a killer instinct in the fourth quarter. Like, they don't have what certain teams, like when the Warriors won the championship and everybody questioned them and they went out and won 24 straight games or whatever it was, because they were just going to show everybody that, yeah, you're going to question us. We're going to kill everyone. That's not Tatum. Like, we saw it in the game against the Warriors. Tatum, even pregame, said, stop trying to tell me what I'm supposed to feel. Like, stop trying to make me into somebody I'm not.
Yeah.
He's not an angry person. He's not a vindictive person. He's not somebody that has that, like, I want to take my fist and jam it down your throat type of attitude. That's just not who he is. He's a pretty laissez-faire, laid-back dude that just says, look, my play is going to speak for itself. I'm a top 5, top 10 player in this league. That means I'm a top 5, top 10 player in the world. Is what it is.
They can't let those teams just walk back into games, though.
Agreed. But it happened all last year, and they still won it all. But it's still happening. And either it's Missoula or it's Brown or it's Tatum or it's just the way they are. I mean, Derek White, it was an unbelievable exchange last night at the podium between Jason Tatum and Derek White, because the reporter asked about Al Horford's performance in the game. And he asked Jason Tatum, he said, you've called Al Horford your favorite teammate. And Derek White went, he looked at him like, what the hell? And he was like, Tatum literally had to say to him, well, I've been through more shit with Al than you. Like, he literally had to say it on the podium, because Derek White looked at him like, what do you mean he's your favorite teammate? Like, that's just how they are, that they're just that they're friends. They've been through the wars together, but they don't have that, like, let's go kill everyone. It's just not who they are.
Well, you got to think. I mean, that's the only thing I took away from the game is that Boston is going to, when they're shooting good, like they shot lights out in the first half. I mean, they're going to be very tough to beat in a series. I mean, Wetzel and I talked about last night. I said, is the Eastern Conference decided?
Terrible.
Like, it's November.
It's terrible. The East is terrible.
It's bad. Like,
it's terrible.
And the Sixers are blowing up.
Well, I was talking to someone on Twitter, because people in Philadelphia are like, oh, the books they think that Philly's got a shot. They're only, they're the fourth option now to win the Eastern Conference. The books think I'm like, the books think they have a shot because the East sucks. Like, it's not Philly. They're 2-11. They're playing tonight. It's the East is garbage. It's Boston, and then maybe Cleveland, and then nobody else worth talking about.
Yeah, the Knicks are so far down. Like, they're not close. The Knicks aren't close. I mean, I don't know who needs to hear it. The Knicks aren't close. And then the Celtics are the next choice. The Orlando's getting some run for being a good team, but I mean, how are they going to win 3 series? They're going to have to win 3 series to get to the. It's crazy.
The West is way deeper.
The West is deep.
Deep. I mean, they blew my damn parlay last night. Freaking 9-point favorite Oklahoma City goes and gets crushed by the Spurs.
Right.
Spurs smoked them
with no Wemby.
Yeah. I thought that was a walk to the window money line bet on OKC. What the hell is that? Yeah. So the Mavericks are really good. I mean, Dalton Knecht, we'll talk about him in a second. Dalton Knecht hit 9 threes last night. Like, there's just some players in the Western Conference with even like the bottom rung teams, like with the Spurs, with Wembanyama and whatnot. Like, there's some really decent teams in the West. You can't say that in the East. Suns, Nuggets, Clippers, Lakers, Mavericks, Pelicans, Thunder. East is garbage. It's just such garbage because the Bucks are supposed to be good and they're not.
Well,
the Bucks are awful.
That's supposed to be the second best team or third, like
right in the pecking order.
They're not right now.
Yeah, look, if the Magic could be good if they get Paolo back from the oblique and he's like he's supposed to be. Pincheiro was tremendous until he got hurt. They're tremendous defensively. Magic are really good. I'm betting the Magic. I like them a lot. They're not going to touch the Celtics. They're not going to touch.
That'll be a fun series. They'll win one home game. Probably Celtics in 5.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
Okay,
like
great.
that's the reality of it. When you
Yeah.
when you look at it, like, okay, yeah, the Magic are going to have to play an absolute perfect game, and the Celtics the worst.
Yes.
As a
Four
double-digit favorite to
four worst
win
games.
a game in Boston.
Right. Not happening.
You know,
So,
and they
even
may
with
catch
Pitcher,
them
it's not happening.
in a game at home with 3 or 4 or something to win a game. But
Yeah.
there's no one beating that team 4 times.
No, it's not happening. Dalton Connect, like I mentioned, hit 9 threes last night, scored 37 LeBrons. The quote's it's really funny. It's a good quote. Because he's asked about Dalton Connect and how the Lakers found him in the draft. And he like threw his own team under the bus. He was like, the Lakers didn't find anything. Sorry, Will. He said the other team's fucked up. That's what LeBron said after the game. I was like, wait, like, it feels like there's more underneath that. Like, it feels like there's some other issues going on with that than just like LeBron coming, because Connect was unbelievable last night. I mean, he was tremendous, and he could be a player that really helps the Lakers. I don't know how much. The Jordan shrug was a bit much, don't you think, from a rookie?
I mean, just own it. Like, whatever it is, like, have the night. That was great. I loved watching him play. There were days, he played at Tennessee. Like, man, this kid's got it. Like,
great player.
Yeah.
Stunned he lasted as long as he did.
Yeah. I think
a lot
of people
middle of the first round. I was like, whoa, what are we doing? I
they needed all those threes last night to beat Utah.
Yeah.
Like, just again, Laker fans want this team to be good again, and they want to see LeBron on the way out and be great and make another run. And
enjoy it.
Just watch the games. Good luck. They're going to be good in spurts, but to make a playoff run, you got to be good every 2 nights over really good teams. I mean, the Lakers are going to finish in the bottom half of the bracket. I mean, they may have to play in the play-in
team. Yep.
It's a long road. It's a lot of games back to back to back to back.
Philly is 2-11. They play tonight after their team meeting. They're favored at Memphis.
Yeah, so what Jaw's not playing?
Probably not, but even without Jaw, I can't believe they're favored. I can't believe the Sixers are favored. 2-11.
I don't even know how to make the number anymore for the Sixers. With the teams playing, who's playing, who's not, who's fighting, who's not.
Who wants to play, who doesn't want to play.
Denver was excellent yesterday against Memphis.
They were great. Killed them.
There was not really any point in that game that I was just watching the score. I didn't see all the game, but where I thought, all right, Memphis is actually going to do this and come back. Like, Denver was in control of the game.
Right.
I have to look at the stats, but Denver might have led the entire game. Might be one of those games where that happened.
Yep.
Now you get Memphis on a back-to-back in that spot. I mean, you're supposed to take the home dog. You're supposed to take the home dog.
Right. Home dog for the Suns tonight against the Knicks.
What's the total?
225.
5 on the road. Wow. Yeah, I hate the game.
This used to be an underplay. This used to be like an automatic underplay, and it's not anymore.
It's got to be home dog too. Oh God, I don't know.
Yeah, it's a very hard game to bet. It's a game I can't bet. A game that I have bet. I'm looking forward to watching. Illinois against Alabama in Birmingham tonight. 2 top 25 teams going after it. Alabama, after their loss to Purdue, come back. It's a semi-home game. It's in Birmingham.
Why is it in Birmingham?
Because they're playing just one of these, like, they like to play in Birmingham. It's an hour and a half or an hour to Birmingham from Tuscaloosa.
Now, if I was in college, I wouldn't go to that game.
You wouldn't?
If I didn't have a car, how am I going to go?
Oh, take buses.
It's
easier to get a team like Illinois to come and play you in Birmingham to go play
than it is to come
to
campus.
Because it's hard to play. I mean, you want to go to Tuscaloosa? No, thanks. Rather go play in a building where both teams don't have any real history with the rims or the sight lines or anything. It's a unique venue. I like it. I
wow.
Yeah. Dog and under.
168.5. Is that the highest total on the board for the day?
Yeah, dog and under.
Why the hell is the total so high?
And going up. They're betting it up.
Holy crap.
Don't
That's the
understand it.
highest total by 10 points.
It's not how Brad
There's
Underwood
not
plays.
another college basketball total today. The next one is 158.5.
Yeah, it's sky high.
Wow, that's really high.
Don't understand it. Don't get
Somebody
the bet.
getting 90, I guess, in this? Holy
Well,
crap.
it's Bama. I mean, Bama wants to run and shoot a lot of threes, but Bama has not been hitting threes. And Illinois is a top 20 defensive three-point team right now. Start the year. Brad Underwood plays defense. Illinois might win the game outright. This could be back-to-back Big Ten losses for Alabama.
Is this Illinois' first road game?
Yes, but it's semi-home. It's semi-road. It's not road. Man, did Marquette in the second half kill Purdue last night. Whew. Game all the way. They played like crap in the first half. They were in it at halftime, down by 7. Second half, Marquette throttled Purdue last night.
Yeah.
Blew their doors off. Little baseball. Guardians and the Brewers. AL and NL managers of the year. Any issue with either one of these guys winning the award?
Absolutely not.
Kind of runaways, right? Both of them.
The only argument you could make is that with everything
Roberts.
that went on is Dave Roberts.
Yeah, Roberts
This
in
would
the
be the
National League.
year that he would win it.
Right.
But no, I didn't even know that until you just put that graphic up that those were the winners.
Mm-hmm.
That's outstanding. I think they did it right. I mean, Cleveland had a great year.
Yeah.
100%.
100%.
And Milwaukee,
I have no issue.
arguably,
Well, right. I mean, it changed managers. They lose their guy. Pat Murphy comes in. Everyone questioned his age. You know, is he going to be able to relate to the players? And he had them in contention, winning the division, playoff caliber all year. Lost his best player. Yeah, I had no problem with Pat Murphy winning it. No problem with either one of the guys winning it.
Zero problem
on that. The Orioles made the announcement yesterday. They're moving the left field wall in, and they're lowering the height of the left field wall. They did this 3 years ago. They moved it out and up. Now they're moving it in and down. Should teams be able to do this? Should they be able to modify their stadiums based on their roster?
Out and up, in and down. Pause. I just replayed all of that in my head and was thinking of something else. Should teams be allowed to do that? It's their home ballpark. Why wouldn't they be allowed to do that?
Because it's not technically allowed under Major League Baseball rules. As I was reading on MLB.com today, you have to go through a whole process of why you're doing this, of why you're allowed to. Baseball just doesn't let you just do this however way you want it to do it. But I think you probably should be able to do it. Just change your ballpark. Baseball is the only sport that the dimensions can be changed. Basketball, football, and hockey, dimensions cannot be changed.
It's crazy what they used to be like in old rinks. The hockey used to be different.
Yeah.
The old Boston Garden, that rink was definitely not 200.
Narrow.
It was not 200 feet long. It was small, and those corners were tight. I saw it in person. I went, how are they allowed to even play here? I remember saying it to my mom. She's like, why are you getting so upset? I'm like, because we wouldn't even play here, Mom, in high school. Like, this is a joke. This is, whatever. I don't know. I mean, so they're moving it in.
Yep.
So they want more homers.
They want more homers.
Runs.
They want more ground rule doubles. They want more offense for their right-handed bats.
Oh. The odd was just the small Jimmy football. I went there and saw a game, and I couldn't believe it. The day I was there was so loud. It was so much fun. I don't know. Is it going to make that? It might make a little bit of a difference in the totals. Like, I'm thinking.
That's why I'm bringing it up. I'm bringing it up because as we look at baseball with the ball in the early part of the year and how baseball gets accused of juicing the ball later in the year, offense was way down last year. We talked about it all throughout the spring, about the lack of offense, the lack of RBIs, the lack of batting. It was all down. It was bad. We talked about lowering the mound in May. It was so bad. So now the Orioles are going, we'll do it ourselves. We're moving the left field wall in and we're lowering the wall.
Yeah. Again, it makes sense. I don't have a problem with it. I think you should, if you go through the right channels, yeah, you should do it. Will it affect things? Obviously, they know it will. I mean,
Yeah.
they're not doing it to the whole ballpark. They're just doing it to left
to
field.
left field. Mark it down for right-handed power bats playing at Camden Yards next year. There may be an opportunity to capitalize upon home run props, RBI props, extra base hit props, overs.
You think
for
they're
right-handed.
talking to Soto? Say, hey, one.
They're not.
No.
Orioles aren't.
Oh.
Red Sox are. It's going
hey,
on.
you can, you can go to Boston and hit it off that wall, or you can come to Baltimore and hit it over the wall because we moved it in and lowered it.
Right.
Huh? That's the pitch.
So a couple things on TV with the NFL. Thank you to CBW for sending this to us this morning. It's pretty wild. NFL football now ranks 47 of the top 50 watched events on television in 2024. It's hard to believe.
Oh, that's just 2024?
That's just 2024.
I mean, I think it's 47 out of 50 at top shows of all time, most
That
watched.
too. Yep. But since the start of the 24 season, this has been 47 of the top 50 shows on television in this calendar year have all been NFL football games. 17.5 million average viewership per NFL game. That's the highest average through week 11 since 2015. So people are watching football. They're watching football live. But what this is doing is changing the entire television landscape because Comcast has announced that they are spinning off some of their most well-known brands. MSNBC, CNBC, USA, Golf Channel, E are all being sold by Comcast.
To who?
I don't know yet. They're going to make the announcement today or tomorrow as to who's buying it.
And they're going to change it.
Oh, yeah. Well, 100% they're going to change it. Those are going
to look nothing like they look ever.
Now, I mean, whoever buys it obviously will dictate what it'll look like. But those are all the channels that NBC used for the Olympics.
Right.
Those are all the channels. So they're keeping Peacock. So they're keeping their streaming service. And so they're going to put the Olympics all on Peacock. Like they're just going to go ahead and slide everything over there because you don't need all those channels. But it's a major sign when the biggest television, huge conglomerate is now saying that cord cutting and streaming is causing us to not be able to operate or want to operate any of these channels anymore on cable. These are all cable channels going bye-bye.
So they can't get advertising anymore.
No, I think they can't afford to operate it anymore because the cable companies won't pay them what they used to get per capita. Remember, Comcast is a cable company.
Right.
So if people aren't wanting to buy, because when you buy a cable package, it's like 25 cents a month to buy E. It's 55 cents a month to pay for Golf Channel, whatever it is. If people don't want it anymore, if they want to be gone, I haven't had cable for, I don't know, I had satellite up till 2.5 years ago. I haven't had cable probably for a decade. And now I'm off of satellite and I'm strictly streaming on everything. I think you're kind of becoming not the norm where you have cable in your house and you love cable. Yeah. TBW, you and Dave, you guys love cable. Dave loves cable.
I have to keep it because I know it always works. And I have people that are seniors in this house that if they can't watch what they want to watch when they want to watch it, there's going to be a problem. Like we've just expanded to streaming games on Paramount.
Oh, in Peacock or Paramount?
No, Sundays Paramount. You can stream the CBS games.
Oh, okay.
So
all of them?
Yeah.
Out of market too?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
That's how they can watch the Steeler games. So it's an option. And we've just started expanded, hey.
Well, that's quiet. So, I didn't know that.
Yeah. You can stream.
So you can buy the games. So out of
we're
market,
stuck with the Raider game.
Correct. But you can stream out of market CBS games on Paramount. I mean, YouTube TV must not like that at all. And they're also, they haven't advertised that at all.
Yeah. Well.
Oh, they give you 2 games on Paramount.
2 games, yeah.
That's it. Not all of them.
No.
Oh, so if the Steeler game is not one of those 2, you can't go and find those.
Yeah, but the Steelers have been winning. They've been a game for a couple weeks. We just tried it because it was, when was it?
Thank you, Floodhouse. Okay, so it's different. Okay, I was going to say because if Paramount could offer you all the CBS games, you wouldn't need YouTube TV. You would need the Direct TV package. I mean, okay, that makes more sense. Yeah. Okay, that makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
They give you two options to pick from between the two, much like they do on your local CBS channel. Okay, that makes more sense.
Yeah.
I think this is a canary in the coal mine that Comcast is doing this. This is a big deal to me.
The beginning of many more to come.
Yeah, this is the beginning of the end of cable.
Wow,
it's going away. I mean, they're gonna MSNBC, E, Sci-Fi, Golf Channel, USA, CNBC, and Oxygen are now going to be spun off.
Spun off or shut down?
Either or, right? They're not going to be part of Comcast anymore.
That's nice to say spun off, but I mean, if I was working there, I'd be like, man, we got to get the hell out of here.
Yep. Without a doubt. There's no debating it. And it's, I can't wait just to see what NBC looks like after this, because NBC News, I mean, MSNBC was a big part of NBC News. I mean, that was a big part of what they've done. So if that channel goes by itself, who's buying it? What's the programming going to look like? Golf Channel used a ton of NBC talent to broadcast the Golf Channel game. Now they're not going to, I mean, golf takes a big step backwards now with this.
Right.
Because there's no combination between the two. So what does golf look like from, the lower level type of tours that got all that exposure, the Corn Ferry Tour and all the other stuff? That's not all going away unless somebody wants to come in and operate it. The other stuff, I mean, I don't know. I guess people still watch E. I don't, but I guess people still do. USA and CNBC. I mean, CNBC is still one of the biggest gigantic networks for finance in the world. Who's buying that?
I'm convinced, period, that getting anybody to watch anything for more than 5 or 10 minutes
is impossible.
is really, really, I mean, it's a testament to you guys that come in here and hang out with us. And while we do this show, it fascinates me because less and less and less and less people will actually just say, you know what, I'm just going to hang out and watch this show.
Right.
And just watch it. I still love watching and getting engaged in a movie for 2 hours.
Sure. Of course.
And I feel like
you disconnect from that though. That's an escape for you.
I know, but games are like that.
Yep.
I mean, you don't have to bet on a game to watch it. You don't have to. I like finding movies that I didn't know anything about and then watching them and learning something. These TV channels and stuff, it was the only way. I had to watch E every week or whatever that was back in the day to get the entertainment news. Whatever, what was that? I forget what that show was. It was on E back in the day, but it was this guy would do that E News something.
Okay. I forget.
It was almost like a spoof off of the Saturday Night Live news guy. He would do a 30-minute show that was just hilarious. It was funny, entertaining, whatever it was. You don't need to do that no more. You literally can find something out in 2 seconds on your phone.
Right.
Do a quick search and it's done.
Not always accurate, unfortunately. That's part of the problem. Talk Soup.
That's it, Floodhouse. That's it.
Yep.
Talk Soup was
that was the guy. The guy who went on to a big career in comedy afterwards. Oh, I'm forgetting on that.
Was great.
Yep. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, good point. The Athletic this morning with a gigantic expose into the inner workings of Woody Johnson and the New York Jets. A couple of excerpts from this. Woody Johnson fired Robert Saleh without consulting anyone. Woody Johnson woke up on the 8th of October and said, I'm firing my head coach. Didn't talk to anybody. He then blocked Bryce Huff's extension with from Joe Douglas said, hey, will you extend Bryce Huff? Woody Johnson said no. Johnson then heard of a trade that Joe Douglas was going to trade Alan Lazard for a day 2 pick for Jerry Jeudy. Woody Johnson said, no, you can't trade him. Woody Johnson micromanaged Joe Douglas, forcing him to fire his close friend, Rex Hogan. Following the move, quote, it was theorized that Douglas told staffers, quote, Woody should just fire me now. and he did. When Chad Douglas, the advisor for Joe Douglas, Chad Alexander, the advisor for Joe Douglas, left for the Chargers, Johnson blocked Joe Douglas from replacing him, further diminishing his authority. Hassan Reddick held out after Johnson refused to negotiate a contract extension. Tyron Smith and Mike Williams, the signings were also driven by Woody Johnson. Joe Douglas didn't want either one. Woody Johnson pushed for the Devontae Adams trade. Joe Douglas didn't want to do it. Johnson benched Tony Adams against the wishes of the coaching staff. He told the coaches to bench a player. And Rodgers likely won't return, with Johnson preferring to move on from Aaron Rodgers. That's all in today's story for The Athletic on Woody Johnson.
That's
Joe Douglas just dumped out the entire contents of his bag. He just went to The Athletic and just went, here you go. He just dumped out everything and said, I'm going to character assassinate an owner today, guys. Get your pens ready. Here we go.
I don't think he's going to work in the league anymore.
Probably not. And I don't know if he cares. That's a vindictive dude. Joe Douglas is not happy with the way he was let go from the New York Jets.
Wow. That's crazy that they got all that today.
I mean, Woody Johnson told in week 4, he told the coaching staff to bench Aaron Rodgers and play Tyrod Taylor. That's the other little big piece here for Woody Johnson. He told them to bench Aaron Rodgers. Why did he okay the signing?
Imagine?
Oh my God. Hey, Rodgers would have just gone on the McAfee show and just ripped the entire franchise if they benched him after week 4. It would have been amazing.
You'd have had to really, wow. I'm trying to put myself in that position if I'm the coach. Hey, bench Rodgers. Hello? What? I own the team. Bench Rodgers. Hold on a second. You come down here and tell him.
Right. You go tell Aaron Rodgers.
Come on
he's
down.
Not playing.
Come on down. Woody, take a breath. Hold on. You come down and tell this guy. You know he goes on the biggest show every week, right?
He talks for an hour, unfiltered, straight.
You know he goes on that show, right? So you tell him face to face. So when he goes on that show and says, I got benched, the owner benched me because I need the job. You own the team.
Right. You're good. You're a billionaire. You're good.
Yeah. Holy crap. Wow. I
mean, think about this. So the report from The Athletic is this. After the team lost to the Broncos, Jets owner Woody Johnson called a meeting with the coaches and front office executives and suggested the team bench Aaron Rodgers in favor of Tyrod Taylor. The move apparently stunned the coaches and Douglas, who convinced Woody out of it and that it would embarrass Aaron and not sit well in the locker room, which is exactly the truth, which is like you can't bench after week 4. You cannot bench Aaron Rodgers. It would destroy the entire season.
Is that what resulted in Saleh getting fired?
It sounds like, well, Joe Douglas, it wasn't the next week. It was 2 weeks later, but just Woody Johnson woke up and just said, okay, I'm firing the coach. And he fired Saleh.
You guys won't bench him.
Right. So I'm firing
the coach.
Yep. You won't do what I'm telling you to do. So now I'm firing the coach. And then the GM won't do what I'm telling you to do. So the GM gets fired. He's just systematically walking in and just pulling the trigger. Rodgers is next.
Wow. So after all that, maybe he won't be back with them next year.
Woody Johnson's really involved with he's Jerry Jones on steroids right now. He's really, and again, it goes to the idea that Woody Johnson very well might be going back to an ambassadorship and his brother Chris might be running the team next year. So this might just be Woody coming in saying, okay, I'm going to do what I want because this is my last year.
Guy. He's the hatchet guy.
I'm not going to be here. So I'm making it so, guys, my window is literally like 6 months. Like you have to win right now because I'm going to go back to being an ambassador and I'm not going to own the team anymore. My brother's going to run the team. So that's maybe that's why Woody had such a short fuse with the whole thing, because he knows he's not going to be actually part of the team next year.
Wow.
So fire everybody.
Or he's coming in. Yeah, he's just coming in, cleaning house, be the hatchet guy so they can start
fresh
without him. even so
around.
much involved.
Chris is the guy.
Wild, man. Wow.
So.
Right in the middle of the season.
Jets are fun to talk about. Vegas at Toronto tonight in the NHL. It's a pick'em.
I got this from one of my favorite ticket writers, Double M, I call him, Mike Mish. When the total is 6, the Knights are 9-0-2 to the over.
Oh my!
The Leafs are 4-2-1 to the over. So that's combined 13-2-3.
And Aiden Hill is the confirmed goalie tonight for the Knights.
So we're calling that the double. I told him you can give me one of these every day if you'd like double M.
I like it. Over.
Yeah, over.
I love 6 over for the push potential.
Yeah. So.
I love that. And then one other, what's this? Minus 490.
Oh, contraire.
Minus 4. What is it now?
Okay. So when the show started, it was minus 500 at 2 places, but it's off of that.
What's it now?
490.
Okay.
450, 460, 480. I mean, you just have to balance the plus price or like the percentage price, like Adam Kane says, they have a 12% chance of winning. I mean, it's I don't even know if they have that. San Jose. Yeah. Shutout? No.
Puck line?
6.5.
Is it plus money on the puck line?
Oh, yeah. Plus, it might be plus money with 2.5. Hold on. Let's see. 1.5. Oh, plus 150. Plus 1.5, plus 150.
Not a bad bet. Lose 4-3.
It's really not. It's really not a bad bet.
No.
San Jose's been hanging in games.
Losing, but losing by 1.
Right.
I don't know. Might be a bad play. Look at our hockey play tonight. You want to sweat that out? You guys can go ahead and try to hang on to that one.
500.
It's going to be a tough one. All right, better to book it time. I'm going to throw a couple of shots here. First, Bama, Illinois under 167.5. You guys get a better number now. I like Illinois' defense tonight. I like Brad Underwood to slow down. I like the fact that both teams don't have any experience with these rims in this building. Could be off for a slow start between the two. And Bama's 3-point shooting has been bad. Illinois is one of the best defensive 3-point teams in the country.
I will hope you are right, but I will say book it because there is no way this line is this far off. Like this.
I thought you were always on this line of take the highest total and bet under.
In football, yes, but this is weird. I just literally scanned the board for the first time on the college basketball board. This has got to be the highest total of the season. One of the highest totals of the season. This is really high for a college basketball game.
KenPom has it as 163.
Wow.
We're way off market. We're way off projections. We're way off market. 5 points is way off for KenPom. You don't normally see a 5 point
intriguing.
Total.
I don't know why.
Bama, they think they're going to score a lot. They think Illinois is going to score a lot. I don't know. Bama's defense hasn't been good. They gave up a ton to Purdue. Went over by 0.5 point in their last game on the road.
And what was that total? 165?
No, it was like 161. Right? It's like 161.
Okay. It was in the 160s, but it was okay. That's fine.
It was in the 160s, but it wasn't this. 168. 168.5.
This would be one of those alarm bell sounds in the room. Would be like, all right, why is this total 168? And then
I'm okay with it.
Game finishes in the 170s or 180s.
Right, let the steam run. Same thing on this bet. Bucks Bulls under. It's 240 now. Let this thing run. Go ahead.
Bucks Bulls under. Wasn't this a consistent under?
Yep.
In a like last year?
Yep.
This is 240 now?
Yep. It's 240 now. It's running like crazy. And it's 3 of the last 4 home games for the Bucks have been under. Bucks play under at home. The Bulls, these two teams played in week 2 and it flew over the total, but it was a month ago. So
right.
Lillard's back. They play differently with Lillard.
The Bulls games go over a lot though.
Yeah, but they don't have that's because they get blown out. No ball for the Bulls. Steam.
Yeah, I'd probably say this one. I don't know. Making the numbers for the Bucks right now is really hard. I think this is probably an under. Yeah, I'll say
240. You can get better than I played. I played 237.
Sure.
You can get 240. You can play much better than
doubt. There's 239 left.
Yeah, way better prices than
and everyone else is 240. So,
and then finally, football tonight. The Buffalo Bulls and the MAC. 1-point dogs, money line. They're still playing for a chance to make it to the MAC championship game.
The MAC.
High scoring game, probably an over, but I like the Bulls. They've won 2 games in a row. They got a chance here at 6-4 to potentially make the MAC championship game. Numbers, everyone's on the Bulls. This is ridiculous. Like it's one-sided action and the number hasn't moved. So if you're one of those people who like to talk about why hasn't the number moved, yeah, the book's like the other side.
I'll say book it on a coin flip. I have no idea.
Eastern Michigan's lost 4 out of 5.
Oh God.
They opened up 5-1. They're 4-1. They've lost 4 or 5.
Oh,
they're 5-5 on the year.
They're probably going to lose.
Yeah. They're probably going to lose. I'll take Buffalo on a Wednesday. If you guys are watching live, stick around. If you're on the replay crew, thank you for being here. We appreciate it. Primetime Thursday happens tomorrow. Thanks to Alex Kane and Joey Odessa for joining us here today. Bonus time starts now. Favorite thing about today is what?
Woke up exceptionally early this morning and had a phone call with one of our guys from the brigade proxy service who was back east, who's close to Rutherford, New Jersey.
Okay.
Stern, who was on the show with us.
Nice.
Meadowlands Rob.
Nice.
Yesterday the dad spider sense tingling was absolutely right.
Okay.
And Stern sounds like he's stepping up. And it's just my favorite thing about today is Rainmaker Lou's tweet with the pictures of him and Bonvie.
Awesome.
Those guys hanging out, spending a weekend together, going to games, eating pizza and just being dudes. And because of the show, simply because of the show. There's no way that those two human beings know each other other than this show. Now, I knew Stern before, but Meadowlands Rob's a good dude. And it's good to know that, we joke on Fridays, we got area codes, but we got people and places. And it reassured me again that we're on the right path. It's always forward. It's never straight. I have no idea where it's going. After December, we're still talking and looking at people. But when you pick up the phone or send a text and someone answers, it's pretty cool. That was my favorite thing.
Very much. Favorite thing about today happened yesterday, but you guys need to all go tell Emerson that we hope he's okay. Because Emerson had one of the worst experiences you could ever have on a plane yesterday. Emerson went and had 2 Whataburgers in a gas station and had explosive diarrhea at 30,000 feet for the entire flight. He had to really fight it the entire time, that entire flight. And I was texting with him going like, are you okay? He's like, buddy, you have no idea how much pain I was in. There was a window, I guess, on the plane in the bathroom, and then the flight attendant had to come and knock on the door and say like, sir, are you okay? Because of what the sounds that were coming out of the bathroom while he was on a plane. I can't think of, and I've had it where I've been throwing up before, so I can really relate to it. Really bad. That's a really, really bad feeling when you're up in the air around all these strangers and your insides are turning themselves inside out.
The best part about the story is he had never gone to the bathroom on a plane before. He's 40 years old.
He had no choice. Well, that's who has that running. Is that Furman? Who has that? Someone has the running gag. They've never gone to the bathroom in their whole life. They're in their 40s on an airplane. And like after every flight, they're like, still haven't done it. Still haven't fallen asleep yet. Or sorry, haven't gone to the bathroom yet on a plane. I forget who that is. It's someone in the content space. It's someone in the gambling space. I don't know how it's possible either. I take a leak like 5 times on flights. I got a 5.5 hour flight from Vegas to Boston. I mean, I'm going to the bathroom like straight up.
I don't know. It's hard to believe.
Oh wow! So like they could have declared a medical emergency in the flight. Could you imagine having to land the whole plane because your insides are coming out? Oh, so embarrassing.
Yeah.
Not good. So go on socials, our boy E, say, hey man, hope you're doing okay today. Cause my gut tells me he probably had a rough night last night. He probably had a rough morning as well for that. That was not I felt for him, man. That's a very lonely place to be. And when you're with coworkers, even with coworkers, is like.
Samir was probably like, "What are you doing? Come out of the bathroom, please. We're gonna have to stop in Dallas
for medical emergencies.
Or no, we're gonna have to stop in like Chicago. We can't give you back to Boston because you had to poop."
I remember when I got on a flight this summer when I was flying back from being with Amanda, and I had oysters before I got on the plane, and the guy DM'd me and said, "What the fuck are you doing?" I said, "What do you mean?" He goes, "You have a 5-hour flight back to Vegas." I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Why would you ever have oysters?" I'm like, "What? I'm fine. I've never gotten sick from oysters before." He's like, "Yeah, until you do." He's like, "One time," I was like, I'm in Boston. We have fresh oysters. We don't have like bad oysters in Boston. Like, it's not like being in like Des Moines. Like, this is in Boston. Like, what are we doing? So it was funny to, well, I mean, just saying, like, it's not like a land
catching strays. I mean,
just if you're eating oysters in different, like the Midwest, I would go, okay, maybe that's a bad idea. But like, I was eating, like, I was in the south end of Boston. Like, the oysters probably came out of the ground yesterday. Like, they were they were fresh. So like, I was like, what? But like, you hate it when somebody puts that into your brain of like, oh, what happens if you got sick beforehand? It's like, it's actually a really good point. Maybe I should never do that again. I should never actually.
I could ask my brothers or my family at some point, but one of the things I'm a professional at is shitting.
Right.
All timer. I mean, like, I've gone at golf courses. I've gone in places that people wouldn't believe.
Okay.
I am one of the best on the road guys in the world. Like, it don't matter. I learned, I don't know why at a young age, I was never afraid of ever pooping anywhere.
Yeah.
Like, I can't imagine. Emerson was probably holding it for a little while.
Oh, until you can't, right? Until like,
oh no, I shouldn't have eaten that. I'll go to sleep. Oh,
he ate 2 Whataburgers from a gas station. Whataburgers on top of that,
move.
like, bad move, man. That's just a bad move. You can't do that. Like, Whataburger on top of it. I don't care what you people in Texas. You're all fucking nuts. Whataburger's not good. You're all fucking nuts. It's not even the same hemisphere of the great places, the great burger places, fast food burger places. Whenever I hear Whataburger, like when they opened up here, and everyone was like, the line was up the door, like, oh, Whataburger's in Vegas. I was like, who cares? It's not that good.
There goes the Whataburgers.
I tried the place up by you with Love last night. That was a very, very new popular burger place up by you in Centennial.
Where at?
With Love Burger. Right across from the Butcher Block off of I forget the name of the street. I don't know.
With Love. Was it any good?
Oh, it's good. Yes. It's like, it's kind of like Five Guys, but it's a smash burger place. They have a very small menu. We got there at like 5:15. I was talking with the owner and he was like, good job coming in here before 6. I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, at 6, it's an hour and a half wait. I was like, for a burger? Hour and a half wait. He's like, yeah. He's like, it's been insane. They doubled their staff. He's like, they had to hire a whole new round of people.
Really?
Yeah, it's taking off. It's a tiny little place. It's small, but people, it's good. It's good. I wouldn't say it's like, I wouldn't stop everything and go run to go get it. It's a burger.
Right.
But it's better than Whataburger. That's for sure.
Wow.
So,
okay.
Lotta Burger. I never heard of that. What's Lotta Burger?
I don't know.
It's new.
Get down to Phoenix and see that. The juice is down in AZ.
Never heard of it.
Are you driving down to the strip right now? You got a class?
Yep. Attempting to. If I hit a nasty traffic jam, I'm turning around and going home and saying, see ya. I tried.
They are completely turning the strip into that race. Like, I was going to go down and shoot something for the Bettis show down on the strip. And I was like, you know what? They're going to have to just watch it on TV. I'm not doing it down there.
Amen. Guys, tomorrow, Thursday, Prime Thursday, Adam Bjorn back on. We'll find out how his trip to Tyson versus Paul was in Dallas. I have no idea what part of the world he would be coming to us from tomorrow because, well, we didn't know what was going on. So we'll see where he goes tomorrow. Thank you to Alex Kane. Thank you to Joey Odessa. Good show today, guys. Thank you for being here. Back tomorrow for Thursday's Bostonian versus the Book.